3-day holiday season in Japan. Many passengers are flying home to see their families, including Yumi. She's actually a flight attendant at Japan Airlines, but today she's off duty and traveling as a regular passenger. She's seated in row 56 and casually flipping through a magazine. Then she hears a loud bang. The cabin pressure drops. Oxygen masks fall from the ceiling. A large part of the jet's 10-meter tail fin has broken off. It will later be revealed that the plane's so-called pressure bulkhead was not repaired properly after a hard landing 7 years prior. Now that part breaks into several pieces and destroys critical control systems. From that moment on, the pilot can no longer control the plane. It starts climbing and descending on its own, while simultaneously rolling and yawing from side to side. Yumi gets up from her seat. She's trained for this and knows how to assist the crew. She shows passengers how to put on their oxygen masks and life vests and how to brace for a potential impact. Many begin writing farewell notes to their loved ones. The flight attendants try to calm everyone down. 44 minutes after takeoff and 30 minutes after the initial bang, the nightmare comes to an end. Yumi is strapped back into her seat and assumes a brace position. The right wing and one of the engines strike a tree. The plane rolls over onto its back and slams into a mountain ridge. The crash site is here, deep in a remote mountain range in Ganma Prefecture. The rescue teams don't arrive until 15 hours later. Trees and wreckage parts are still smoldering. Medics comb through what is left of the aircraft. Yumi will later say the screams of many other survivors kept her awake all night. But at some point, most of them went quiet. To this day, it's unclear how many people had initially survived the crash. Experts think it's very likely that many more could have been saved if they didn't have to lie there all night, injured, out in the cold. It will later turn out Japanese authorities waited until the next morning to launch an extensive rescue mission. They simply assumed that no one had survived the crash. Apart from Yumi Ochiai, one other woman and 2 girls survive. 520 people die. All 4 survivors were seated back here, in the rear section. The tail section has the horizontal stabilizer and the massive tail fin attached to it. That makes it a very solid structure. According to a data analysis published by Time magazine, the middle seats in the rear section have the highest survival rates. But the differences across cabin areas were marginal, and the researchers only looked at a limited number of crashes. The front section of the aircraft can also act as a crumple zone and absorb part of the impact's kinetic energy. Experts told us the odds of survival also depend heavily on how the plane hits the ground. That is, if it comes down in one piece. This is Juliane Köpke. She is 17 years old and goes to school in Lima, Peru. Her parents are renowned biologists at a remote research station in the Amazon rainforest. It's Christmas. The night before, Juliane attended her end-of-school prom and graduation party. Her mother had flown in for the occasion. Now the two are eager to get back to her father so they can at least spend New Year's together. The research station is located deep in the jungle. First, they have to fly to Pucallpa. From there, it's several days by boat. All flights from Lima to Pucallpa are fully booked. Except one, Lancer Flight 508. Juliane and her mother hesitate. Her father explicitly warned them about Lancer. The airline was only founded a few years prior and already lost 2 aircrafts in crashes. Leaving Lima the day before was not an option though. Juliane didn't want to miss prom night. So the two end up boarding a Lockheed L-11 Electra. Juliane sits in seat 19F in the second to last row. The plane takes off. Because it's Christmas, the mood on board is festive. The flight is scheduled to be only 1 hour. 20 minutes in, the crew starts serving breakfast. Juliane looks out of the window at the rainforest below. Then the plane starts shaking. A massive wall of clouds is building ahead of them.
This time is completely different from anything I've ever experienced. The pilot doesn't go around the storm, but flies straight into hell. The world outside turns dark in the middle of the day. Bolts of lightning keep flashing all around us. At the same time, an invisible force starts shaking the plane like a small toy.
Luggage flies through the cabin. Passengers scream and cry. Juliana will later say she saw a gleaming white light above the wing. Then the aircraft starts plummeting towards the ground. At around 3,000 meters, it breaks apart. Juliana is ejected into the void. She is still strapped to her seat.
The next thing I remember is hanging with my head down, while the jungle approaches me in slow circular motions. But it's not the jungle that's coming toward me. I am the one moving toward it. The treetops are grass green and dense, and they remind me of broccoli heads. The images are blurry. I see everything as if through a veil. Then darkness surrounds me again.
20 hours after the crash, Juliana wakes up next to her row of seats. She's alone.
I don't feel any fear, but an overwhelming sense of abandonment. The crushing realization that I'm alone. My mother is gone, although she was sitting right next to me just moments ago. Her seat is empty.
Juliana starts walking. She follows a small stream of water to a river and lets herself drift in the current. That's what her father told her to do if she ever got lost in the jungle. She survives on some candies she found at the crash site. Along the way, she encounters martens, brocket deer, and caimans. After traveling alone for 11 days, she is picked up by a group of rubber tappers. She will never see her mother again. Juliana is the sole survivor among the 92 people on board. To this day, it's still largely unclear how she could fall from 3,000 meters and live to tell. She thinks she owes her life to a combination of three factors. 1. Storm clouds often have powerful updrafts beneath them. The vertical flow of air may have slowed Juliana's descent. 2. The row of seats she was strapped to may have acted like a parachute, like a rotating propeller that reduced the speed of her fall. 3. The entangled lianas of the rainforest may have formed a kind of natural safety net to cushion her impact. In this case, where she was seated most likely didn't matter. Reuters reached a similar conclusion. Survivors of aviation disasters usually come from every part of the aircraft. In some cases, the only survivors are seated at the very front, in the cockpit. For pilots, takeoff and landing are the most critical phases of any flight. That's when most accidents happen, partly because planes are more vulnerable to external factors during these moments. That's why aspiring pilots have to go through a rigorous selection process. Candidates first have to prove their resilience to extreme physical and mental stress. Then they face the airline's demanding recruitment tests. Only a few make it through the entire procedure. And after that come years of training. James Polhinky met all the requirements to enter the training. This morning he's serving as first officer on the Comair regional jet. The sun is not up yet. Polhinky has logged over 3,500 hours of flying time on this type of aircraft. Captain Jeffrey Clay has also spent thousands of hours in this exact type of cockpit. It's shortly before 6 a.m. 47 passengers board the flight to Atlanta. The pilots prepare for departure. Lexington Airport has two runways. Runway 22 for larger passenger jets and a shorter one for small private aircraft. Runway 26. They intersect. To get to the long runway 22, pilots need to cross the shorter one. Both pilots are familiar with the airport. Both have taken off from Lexington several times before, including at night. First Officer Polhinky does not brief his captain about the fact that the taxi to runway 22 requires crossing runway 26. As the aircraft taxis, the two pilots casually talk about family planning.
My wife wants 4. I was good at 1. She wants 4? Yeah. I'd be like, honey.
Clay stops the plane at the junction of runway 26. What happens next is documented in the official investigation report. They fail to notice the runway numbers indicating they're on the wrong strip. They also ignore the fact that their magnetic heading presets are not in line with their current orientation. Captain Clay hands control to Polhinky. The first officer sets thrust. To lift off, the aircraft needs to accelerate to 142 knots. But when they realize they're approaching the end of the runway, they're only at 131. Polhinky pulls back the control column. He wants to bring the plane into the air, but it's too slow. A local police officer and a public security officer are the first to reach the crash site. They pull an unconscious man from the wreckage and rush him to the hospital. It's Polhinky. Shortly after, ambulances and fire crews arrive. The firefighters knock down most of the fire within 3 minutes. But it's too late. All 49 of the other people on board die at the scene. The crash is what you would call a perfect storm. The official report primarily places responsibility on the pilots for taxiing onto the wrong runway. From engine start to takeoff, pilots are only allowed to talk about the upcoming flight. The records show they ignored that rule. At the same time, the airport charts used by ComAir were outdated, and the air traffic controller could have seen that the aircraft was lining up on the wrong runway if he had been looking out the tower cab windows. But he had turned away to handle paperwork. The report also indicates that he was most likely fatigued at the time.
The people that came on board the plane were my responsibility. They were mine and Captain Clay's responsibility. And if there's anything that I can say to the family members is that I'm sorry we made that mistake, because they lost their loved ones that day. And I just hope that God can give the family members some comfort, some peace, and some compassion so that their burden gets less as time goes on.
The survival stories of James Polhinky, Juliane Köpke, Yumi Ochiai, and Vishwash Kumar Ramesh have very little in common. In crashes with only a handful of survivors, life or death is usually a matter of pure chance. But severe cases like these are absolute exceptions. Flying is actually the safest mode of transportation, and it's getting safer every year. The industry learns from every single accident. Regulations change, aircraft designs evolve, devices and mechanisms improve. The odds that your next flight will end in a forced landing or crash are extremely low. An MIT researcher calculated that you'd have to fly every single day for 55,000 years to die in a plane crash. And even if you were to emergency land or crash, your chances of survival would still be very high. According to the US National Transportation Safety Board, more than 95% of all passengers involved in plane crashes survive. That figure includes emergency landings, crash landings, and pre-crash or post-crash fires. Modern passenger aircraft are designed to be fully evacuated within 90 seconds, even if only half of the exits are usable. But it's still very important that you know how to act in a potential emergency. Many real-life evacuations take longer than necessary because passengers freeze or don't know what to do. So next time you're flying, pay attention to the crew security briefing and read the security card instructions, even if you're already familiar with both. Try to memorize the number of rows and directions to the nearest emergency exit. This would increase your chances of finding it if the cabin was filled with smoke. Some experts recommend booking a seat within 5 rows of any emergency exit. Also, make yourself familiar with the brace position for potential emergency landings. Controlled crash tests in the Mexican desert have shown that passengers in that position are less likely to suffer spinal cord or head injuries. Once the aircraft has landed, follow the crew's instructions and leave it as soon as possible. Do not take your hand luggage with you. There have been real cases where people couldn't get out and burned to death because passengers in front of them were too busy struggling with their hand luggage. If the aircraft lands on water, put on your life vest, but wait until you're outside before inflating it. Otherwise, it could block the way. If you want to be even better prepared for the absolute worst-case scenario, wear sturdy shoes, stay sober, and pick the right clothes. Experts recommend wearing cotton or wool because synthetic fabrics like polyester can cause far more severe burns when they melt onto your skin. Whenever a plane crashes somewhere on the planet, it draws a lot of attention. Horror news and spectacular survival stories are the ones that stick the most. It's easy to forget that everyday life is
I literally said, is it Argan or RN? I know what it looks like.
Ron, it is your board.
Friendship forever.
with Ayla Bits.
And Atrick Doran.
And Amrin. I want to actually go back to beat the allegations for 600.
All right, I'm going to show you a picture of a woman. Buzzers will be open. Tell me who it is. Here's your next picture. Aiden.
Who is Aretha Franklin?
That is correct.
I knew that too. That's great.
Oh, and Aiden, with that, you are at negative 500 points. Just 100 points off of Slime. Good job. Where do you want to take it?
Beat the allegations.
Let's beat them. Next
Well, don't
picture.
say that before you bring up pictures. Okay.
Buzzers are open.
Awesome, man.
Possibly the most impactful woman to ever exist.
Who is Susan B. Anthony?
That is incorrect.
Yeah, I know who it is. I fucked it up. I'll tell you if you split the points with me.
Ooh, can we make it?
I made that dude.
Do business?
I've done it before and I'll do it again. Slime, I'll let you buzz in again if you'd like.
But I'll lose a shitload of points.
Exactly right.
Oh my God, you were gonna give me an answer you're not positive in?
Slime.
Who is Marie Curie?
That is correct.
I got it back.
You break even. You break even.
Break even.
I got it back.
That's actually great for me too.
I got it back. It's a great picture.
That
of her.
was
She's
Marie
beautiful.
Curie.
She's stunning, to be honest. I'd love to see it in color.
Won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1911.
Did she ever win Miss America?
She's French.
She should win every
She
country.
did not win Miss America.
She was snubbed.
Okay.
Does she have a brother?
Does she have a brother? What are you interested?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Probably a bit old for you.
What are you looking?
Why are you trying to find the man in the situation here?
I'm just wondering if, because she's French.
You've lost the Bechtel.
My mom just said sorry.
Oh, so you're asking who she's married
She tried
to.
her best. She was driving. All right, where do you want to go? Slime's your board.
Let's finish it up. Let's beat the allegations for $1,000.
Let's beat these allegations. Beat them up. All right, here it is. Last one.
Fuck is that? Who the fuck is that?
Damn, she's beat. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What the fuck,
I even
bro?
crossed my own line.
What
there.
the fuck,
You know
man?
what? And that's on me.
What the fuck?
'Cause that
bro?
one's
Look
on me.
around,
Who
look
it
around,
is?
look
What
around.
is that?
An
Who the fuck
English
is that?
social reformer.
English
a statistician. American.
She
Nope.
should win.
Fuck is that? Who the fuck is that?
Damn, she's beat. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What the fuck,
I even
bro?
crossed my own line.
What
there.
the fuck,
You know
man?
what? And that's on me.
What the fuck?
'Cause that
bro?
one's
Look
on me.
around,
Who
look
it
around,
is?
look
What
around.
is that?
An
Who the fuck
English
is that?
social reformer.
English
a statistician born in 1820, died in 1910.
It was about to get good.
An icon in Victorian culture. She was a nurse during the war.
Man, why can't you throw fucking Virginia Woolf, pussy? You're an English major.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit about this person? Virginia Woolf all day. We wanted Virginia Woolf instead.
Seems like time's up. Who is Florence Nightingale?
That's crazy. I thought that was the betting thing.
What does that mean?
When you Nightingale, double the bet.
You understand?
You bet 20 and then you
Martingale
lose
betting
it, so
system?
you make 40 and then you get it back.
Martingale.
That's what I
also-
did.
That's also named after a guy.
I Nightingaled my points earlier.
It's Martingale! And you didn't, because you didn't double the initial bet.
He kind of did that last round. He kind of martingale. No, he kind of martingale, right? He lost 1,000, put another 1,000 up.
Your body's tea, by the way.
Your body's fucking teeth.
You guys are not beating the allegations
No
today.
crumbs.
All right, well, quick point update before we jump into our final category, hold a CP, which is going to really determine our point totals going into final. I want to remind you guys, there is a final. If you're in the negative
There's a what?
hundreds, huh?
There's a what?
A final what?
There's a final trivia.
Oh,
The
not
mogul
any
move.
sort of state of peril or anything like
No
that.
peril involved. If you are in the negatives, the most you can wager is to get to 0. So for these next 4 questions, if 2 people are in the positives and one is in the negatives, it's over.
Do you have any more establishing borders questions that we get to do?
What, so you can fuck up
No,
Luxembourg?
Aiden, it's 4 CP questions.
So you're telling me CP is going to decide this all?
Exactly right.
All right, well, let's hold the CP for 400.
Let's do it, Slime. 400. Competitive Halo game mode where the winner is decided after reaching a score of 3. Slime.
Atcher the flag. What is Atcher the flag?
That is correct. Slime, it is your control of the board. Where do you want to go?
Can we hold the CP for 600?
Let's do it, man. Lacey going for a bicycle kick or body parts to practice. Oh, excuse me. Can I cut that one? Can I cut that one? Let me run that one back. Let's just show the hold the CP full screen because it actually doesn't make sense.
It's funny when it's full screen.
What you would call what Lacey does when he goes for a bicycle kick while clearly missing.
Intending to clearly miss?
This is what you would call what Lacey, the streamer, does when he goes for a bicycle kick in a charity match with the intent of clearly missing.
No clue, man.
It's a bad question.
That's not the best. I mean, you guys should know this.
No politic here. You're not baiting me.
All right. Well, 3, 2, 1.
Fuck.
What's your guess?
Collapse, which would be alas. See, I don't know.
Clip farm.
Oh,
AKA
Lip
what
arm.
is Lee arm?
Oh no, Lee arm.
Lee arm.
Sure, yeah.
It's a clip farm.
That works on your other friends, but not us.
Well, yeah, that's why it's trivia. 2 more, and this will really determine everything. Currently, you could tie him in final trivia.
I could.
Fuck, I'm not even a shoo-in.
You're not a shoo-in. If you were to get one of these wrong, you're kind of fucked. And if one of them were to get it right, you're also kind of fucked.
Let's hold the CP for 800 then, Ludwig.
Let's do it, Slime. Here it is. Repetitive stress on your median nerve can lead to this syndrome. Slime.
What is aural tunnel syndrome?
That is correct.
Fucking go, baby. Because they tell you the answer. It has
And with
CMP in
that,
it.
Slime goes from negative 2,800, the lowest score we've seen today, to 800, the highest current score.
Fuck me, bro.
We have one final question. Aiden, reminder, you have your AT&T speed dial, so
That's
that
so broken
might
right now.
It is broken. He
that
saved
might
it.
dictate what you try to do. We're going to jump into our final question. Here it is. Owned exclusively by the U.S. until 1979, this 40-mile stretch of water connects the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Aiden.
What is the anima anal?
That is correct.
How was that the fucking $1,000
The
question?
anima.
There's no way I just lost
The
something.
anima anal.
$1,000 question? That is crazy.
And with
Dude.
that, all of a sudden,
I didn't need Andorra.
after board
I
number
am this
2,
tall.
Slime is at 800. Aiden is at 500. Second place in Nick. Luigi's doing nothing and he's
Bro.
losing. Because he's sitting at 400 points.
That's
How the fuck did that happen?
That's disgusting.
It happened because your mom kind of let you down.
What's new?
Well, I got good news for you. Because it's not over.
Okay.
The top 2 after final trivia are going to go to Fast Money. Now we have one final question, and you can wager as many points as you have. You are not allowed to use your AT&T speed dial for this. You have lost it.
Pussy.
On your phones right now, you're going to see an area where it's going to ask you how much you want to wager. I'm going to tell you the category of this question. The category is Ludwig.
It says lolcow logic.
Okay, why did you put lolcow? It's Ludwig. It's me.
I genuinely
about
wanted to
me.
make sure that.
It's funny. It says that I read it as Ludwig. My brain filled the blank in.
This is going to be a dicey showdown. I'm not going to lie. I'm not sure what you're thinking of, but I'll give you guys the time to think about how much you are going to wager, but I need you to lock those wagers before I ask you the question. You should be considering how much you need to wager to guarantee top 2. So at worst, Slime, you are tied for last. You could take the tiebreaker and hope that they get it wrong, or you could bet 1 and bet on yourself to get through. There is an advantage if you are first overall.
My heart is pounding.
I wouldn't blame you. There's nothing more important than being at the top of the pyramid. All right, I'm going to give you a full minute. Are you guys ready for your final trivia question? Gentlemen, how much do I weigh? Your answer has to be within 2 pounds plus or minus. I'm going to weigh myself live on a scale. You need to put in
Wait, clothes on or off?
exactly with the clothes I'm wearing right now. Nothing in the pockets.
When you weigh
Shoes on.
yourself at home, are you naked?
When I weigh myself at home, I'm generally in underwear, yeah.
Yeah, his
I'd say underwear. I go for the min weight. I'm going to be, I can say this, a little heavier than home.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get the points if you're within 1.5 pounds higher or 1.5 pounds lower.
That's so tough, man.
It's a tight window. It's a 3-pound window. So if I get on that scale and I weigh 205 pounds and you guessed 206,
Which is physically impossible for that.
Can we get a good
to
look at
be
you?
That low.
do you want to get a
I want to get a good look.
relax?
Oh
or
my
not
God,
relax?
he has definition.
Do you want me to relax?
Yeah, relax. Okay.
I want to get a good look.
Relax?
Oh
or
my
not
God,
relax?
he has definition.
Do you want me to relax?
Yeah, relax. Okay, there it is.
Jesus Christ.
Hello.
You have to be flexing when you get on the scale.
Doesn't change the weight.
The scale can tell if you're flexing or
This is
not.
what I look like. You need to be within 1.5. It's going to be tough. I'm going to give you some time to think about it. While you do, I'd like to give a big thank you to Red Bull for sponsoring Mogul Money Season 2 and also to AT&T. AT&T helps bring Mogul Money Season 2 and all the events on my schedule to life. So thank you very much to AT&T for keeping me connected with my friends, my family, and you guys watching at home. They're also giving away free Mogul Moves apparel. Just click the link in the description to enter for a chance to win. Gentlemen, how you feeling?
I keep track of your weight because I use it to hurt you often, and the closer I am to reality, the more it hurts you, right? And that's an important thing in my life to keep track of. So
That's right.
I think I'm pretty accurate here.
Big fucking fat oaf. Pen down.
Pen is down.
I can see Aiden's answer. That's crazy. No, it actually might be close.
Well, here's the deal. We're going to first start with how much you wagered, Nick. Because you came into this with 400 points and you wagered 200.
200 points.
Your guess for how much I weighed, let's see it. 177 pounds.
You've lost.
Now we have a live scale that I'm going to step on. Slime, you had 800 points, the most of anyone. Let's see how much you wagered. 200. So if you get it wrong, you would still be in the lead. Your guess, 181.2. A little bit heavier. Again, you get a 1.5-pound buffer there. And our final contestant, Aiden, you had 500 points. Let's see how much you wagered. 301.
Nasty girl.
Your guess?
I thought that was your weight. I'm so sorry, bro.
And you'll be shocked.
Your guess was 185 pounds. Now, here's the deal. If all of you get it wrong, then Nick and Sly move on. Because you wagered 301, which would bring you down to 199 points. Nick, you wagered 200, which would bring you down to 200 points.
Yeah.
So if all of you get it wrong, you are eliminated.
Thank God I picked such a good amount to wager. Let's fucking go.
You're going to be weighed with everything you're wearing right now.
Everything I'm wearing right now. If all of you get it right, then Nick, you'll be eliminated.
But we can't all get
It's
it right.
impossible.
It's impossible, so it doesn't matter.
That's not even a point.
It doesn't even
bringing
matter.
it up. Let's just weigh
It's a
myself.
fucking dumb thing to say.
Yeah, let's just
Let's
weigh
see it.
myself.
Why don't we just do it?
Fucking chill.
You gotta put it up on
why
that
don't we do
platform.
Yeah, put it on the physical
No carpet.
ground. Oh, he's got an
he has
apple
a
box.
box.
Yes,
Oh
yeah.
my. Okay.
The apple box is uneven. Do it on the purple.
No, I'm doing it on the apple box. Is it lighting up?
Is it off?
Shouldn't be off.
Maybe you broke it. Maybe it's like it has a maximum, and what you were already.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
it works.
Look, it fucking you didn't even register you.
It works. You guys ready? Again, you can be within 1.5 pounds north or south. Come around. Here it is.
Yes!
Oh my God.
185.8 pounds.
Undefeated.
Meaning the only person who got it correct
Wow.
is Aiden. And with that, Aiden, you end the first round of Mogul Money first overall with 801 points. Slime's in second place, moving on to Fast Money with 600. And Nick, the champion last time you guys played, is last place.
You big fuck.
Nick, any final words? You're eliminated from this contest basically because your mother failed you.
Well, Ludwig, it was a really fun time here. It sucks that Aiden's going to be at your live show, because woof. But I'm just happy to have put up a good fight, to have done really great on the lateral thinking section.
What do you call it? Lateral? It was just common bonds. You keep saying lateral thinking.
Fucking weighing stuff on carpet. Bullshit fucking rules.
I wouldn't go down to 177, I'll tell you what. Well, let's move on to our Fast Money section. I need somebody to take Slime out of here. Let's,
You
Oh, I
meant
gotta
me.
go. I have a question.
Do I leave?
you could probably...
No, he can stay
I mean,
if he wants to.
no, it's just probably better if you don't
the
keep the
stylus.
stylus. Don't keep the stylus. All right, Aiden, I want you to stand next to me. You actually made it to the finals.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Well, you have an advantage going in. You get to go first. The way it works is you get 30 seconds on the clock. We're going to be strict about that. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. We surveyed 100-yard listeners each of these questions. I'm going to go back to back to back to back to back. If you'd like to skip any, we can. We'll go back to it after. But bear in mind, you only get 30 seconds on the clock.
I'm ready.
Aiden, we asked 100-yard listeners, which yard member would you kill? Go.
Aiden.
Which milk is the best?
Skip.
Who do you main and smash?
Who do I main?
No, we are asking 100-yard listeners. What did they say? Most
Falco.
common.
Skip. Or Falco.
Who is the greatest yard guest of all time?
Hank Green.
Best fast food restaurant. I need a best fast food restaurant. 8 seconds.
Tommy's. Circle back to the other question.
That's it. You got them all. You said Falco.
No, the second one. I said skip. What's the question?
Oh, sorry. Which milk is the best?
Whole.
Whole. I thought you said skim. That's my bad.
Oh.
You said skip.
I said skip. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, can we get Slime out here?
Well.
So here's the way it's going to work. We surveyed 100-yard listeners, and what I want from you is what you think the most popular answer they said. Now you're second to go, which means a couple things. First, you might say something Aiden already said. If that happens, you're going to hear this sound. What you need to do at that point is give me a second guess. Now to make up for that, I'm going to give you 5 more seconds on the clock. Your timer will start when I'm finished reading the first question. Do you have any questions before we begin?
Can you do the Steve Harvey face really fast?
Can't say that.
That's the one.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, let's jump in to our first question. If you'd like to skip any, you can. Just say skip. We will go back at the end.
Yeah, right.
First question. Which yard member would you kill?
Ludwig.
Which milk is the best?
2%.
Who do you main and smash?
Captain Falcon.
Who is the greatest yard guest of all time?
Skip.
Best fast food restaurant?
McDonald.
Who is the greatest yard guest of all time?
Foosley.
And that is all your answers. answers. None overlapped with
I'm
Aiden's.
surprised, yeah.
None
I'm
overlapped.
surprised.
That's crazy, actually.
I'm actually shocked. Nick, you're off camera looking perplexed. Can I get Slime and Aiden to my left and right? This is fine here. Stand here. All right. Gentlemen, this is it. This will determine top of the wedding pyramid. This will determine who I'm going to copy to every day or $100 if I fail to do it. What are you looking at me like that?
Okay, I'm listening.
Why fucking look at me less?
He learned about eye contact.
That's weird. Do it less. Okay. I asked you, which yard member would you kill? Aiden, you answered yourself.
Of course you did, pussy.
Slime, you answered me. Let's see the points for Aiden.
Ooh.
30 points for Aiden, and Slime, 27 points. Aiden was the number one answer.
Time to get me off the show.
You were both equally reviled.
Question number 2, which milk is the best? Aiden, you said whole. Slime, actually, you said 2%.
2%.
Whole, that was worth, let's take a look, 36 points.
Give me that.
2%, that was worth 34 points. Whole was the number one answer.
Fucking fat pigs.
Fatten me up.
Question number 3, who do you main in Smash? Aiden, you said Falco.
That's a good guess.
Survey says 5 points. Not a very popular answer. Slime, you said Captain Falcon. Survey says 3.
What was number 1?
I can't imagine.
The number one answer was Kirby. Oh, you forgot your audience is a bunch of casuals.
A bunch of casuals and a bunch of beautiful women.
You forgot.
I forgot.
It's the girlfriend character.
Question number 4, just to be clear right now, Aiden, you said at 71 points, Slime, you're at 64, 7 points difference between the both of you. It's a nail biter. It's really gonna come down to these last 2. Who is the greatest yard guess of all time? Aiden, you said Hank Green.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Survey says 11 points.
11 with all our guests. That's filthy. 11's filthy there.
Slime, you said Foosley. Survey says 2 points. Here's the deal. It is a pretty big lead for Aiden, but I got a little hope for you. Because I asked you guys, what is the best fast food restaurant?
Did he say some crazy shit?
Aiden, and I'm not fucking around,
Dude, I thought
with his whole dick said Tommy's.
the audience would be.
Survey says.
Dude, I thought the audience would play into
Oh,
the zero.
the diaper burger? Oh, McDonald's, please.
Said
Please,
Tommy's.
Ronald.
dude.
Please, Burger Clown.
You're going to the
do it for
promised
me.
land.
So here's the deal.
Please.
Slime, you are down 16 points.
Please,
You
Burger.
said McDonald's. If this is 17
Dude,
points or higher,
no.
you win mogul money.
Come on.
Survey says
Come on.
6. And with that, Aiden, you stay alive. You are the winner of Mogul Money Season 2, Episode 1. Congratulations, you're at the top of the pyramid.
Oh my god. Hey, you did terrible at the end. You did terrible. You did
The
terrible.
number one answer, by the way, Taco Bell. And it wasn't very close. And Taco Bell was like 40 points.
Taco Bell was 40?
Taco Bell was an absurd amount of points.
You're the top of my pyramid.
He's gonna suck so bad live. Oh my god. He's gonna over-explain something for like 5 minutes, bro, and you're gonna get freaked
I have a
out because it's gonna take too long.
Hey, big task for you at work. I need you to start bringing me 2 coffees Monday through Wednesday. Just 2 for me. For me. What are you doing? What is...
I mean, he's the ultimate.
Well, y'all, thank you very much for watching Mogul Money Season 2, Episode 1. We'll be back next month for our next batch of guests. Thank you to Slime, Nick, and Aiden. Listen to The Yard. Or don't. I don't give a shit.
Whole milk? What is that shit? What do they all look like?
You put it in coffee.
They're your listeners.
You're right.
It's okay, man. All right. Sorry, man.
Let's get
take away from it. Obviously, it all is going to rely on these neon nerfs that are kind of people are speculating about in the background. If neon isn't nerfed hard by stage 2, then I would hope that Hero is in that kind of vice slot and practicing.
Opium poppies to my house at a very good price. Making opium was a labor-intensive process, though I suppose my part of the process was the easiest of them all when I consider the sweat-covered farmhands who harvested and dried these poppies in the 120-degree heat of the Middle East. I grinded the poppies into a coarse powder, and for this I used a white Hamilton Beach blender, which was mostly made of plastic, and I bought it at a second-hand store for $6. But the powder was still useless. Over the course of 6 hours, it needed to be simmered, steeped, strained, filtered 8 times, cooled to room temperature, pH adjusted, baked in an oven, and then dried in the sunlight. It was the hot summer in South Carolina, so at the end of it all, I placed the near opium on melamine plates and put the plates on the windowsill. It was indeed a great labor, this entire process, and I thought I could probably make some money by the time it was all said and done. I was an ambitious young man, but my grandest ambitions fell into rent and groceries, and they existed in that strange, limited place where poverty often forces them to be. To a more civilized person, the concept of why would have shattered the entire construct of the life I then lived. Why sell drugs? Why do crime? Why do bad things with bad people? After all, there were no forces in the world which made me do these things, and they were rather choices that I continuously selected of my own agency. The question of why, in this context, had too far of a horizon, and my choices could not see so far. I sold drugs to pay my bills. I did crimes to buy groceries. I did bad things with bad people, for no particular reason other than those things being in front of me. There is a great expression which says the best tool is the one you will reach for. These were the tools which I and the world had collaborated to put in front of me, and so they were the ones that I reached for. The Trump administration recently reclassified medical marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug. I think it's fair to say that this idea, the reclassification of marijuana, is long, long overdue, and at this point, you could say the American people should appreciate this very rare W. But looking at this story on Ground News, at a glance, we can understand the reclassification with a little more precision. For one thing, Ground News shows me that the story is being which shape our world by showing form pulls in thousands layout we own or wanted, and we would still lose. The crab apples on trees had begun to fall onto the ground, where they would be smashed under boots and eaten only by ants and insects. My friend Harris moved pounds of weed from the port through his house in the downtown area, and he sold LSD on breath mints and plastic vials of PCP. I wasn't really involved in his work, but I was involved in my own, and we existed in similar orbits. Word made its way from here to there, and eventually to me, that his home had been raided. A SWAT team had kicked down his door on one sweaty afternoon, held Harris and a few others at gunpoint, and hauled them all off in a big bus. With this in mind, in my proximity to Harris and my opium production, it was a great thing to see a police car parked outside of my apartment a few days later. The car was unoccupied, but its presence cast a stench of anxiety over me. It was an even greater thing when it remained parked there the second day, and then greater still on the third and the fourth. Each day a paranoia settled more intensely onto my shoulders, and it became quickly part of my morning routine to check outside for the police car. The car was never occupied, nor did it ever move, but it stared deeply at my apartment. It was on the 5th day that I felt very confident the car was an implicit and not entirely subtle threat from the local police department. It must be said that opium was just one entry in a list of illegal activity which came and went from Caucasian, about my age. He had long, locked hair, and he made a very good spaghetti. We'd met in high school and had become close after neither of us were able to successfully graduate. Junior was what you could call a loose cannon. He oscillated radically between moods of violent rage and genuine calm. I had seen Junior throw punches which could knock a man's head off of his neck, and I had seen him cook his spaghetti for a dozen people on hot and perfect summer evenings. I did not know much about Junior's life before we met in concrete, but there was a sense about him that things had gone continuously and without mercy quite poorly in one way or another. As a friend for several years, I saw it as my obligation to tolerate Junior's various moods. It was also true that I myself was a young, angry man of conflict. Junior was reliable enough, and to find someone reliable in this milieu of the world was, as I had learned, an entirely unrealistic sort of expectation. So late at night, I called Junior and asked him if I could move some stuff into his house for a while. "What you got?" he asked me. "Nothing crazy. Some work. I got some auntie I'm working on. Those pipes Aaron left over here. That little pistol my mama gave me." We had traded favors over the years, and so he obliged. Yeah, that's straight, but I ain't home. I'm in Magnolia. Can you come get me and we'll head over there, across the bridge?" It seemed like a fair enough trade. Everyone and myself knew about Magnolia Park. It was a large complex of government housing, tucked away from anything else in many ways, and location was just one. There was a lot of drama in Magnolia Park, and this drama rarely left the area, which was plenty good enough for the more affluent members of the city. Magnolia was, perhaps above all else, not a place to go casually. When I arrived to the shared parking lot at Magnolia, it was a dark night that was lit by the bright overhead lights in the complex. There were many men standing in the grass areas and the sidewalks of Magnolia Park, and they seemed to be doing nothing at all. But as soon as I stepped out of my car, I could feel the broad recalibration of attention that comes with the presence of a stranger in places like Magnolia. The most obvious and shallow reason for this was that I was white, and there was no more emblematic piece of the city's lingering segregation than Magnolia Park. An equal and more true reason was my unfamiliarity. Magnolia Park was a bad place to be if you were not welcome. The men all began to walk my way with a slow sort of trepidation. I was not in danger, but I was certainly standing on the precipice of it. It was with the familiar and unappealing mix of hostility and suspicion that they began to approach me, and I knew this recipe often preceded violence if a man could not navigate it very well. Magnolia Park was a place where things could go very wrong very quickly. You can smell a gun in the air, just like you can smell gun smoke. I could smell the guns in the air, and I did not have one. I knew that it was incredibly rare for even a shooter to start shooting for no reason in particular. Still, worry gnawed at the most back part of my mind. Junior appeared from some corner of the complex. He held two styrofoam cups stacked in one another, the ice rattling as he walked towards me. Inside of the cups, he had a mixture of codeine cough syrup, Sprite soda, and Jolly Rancher hard candies. He called out to the other men to calm down, not to worry about me. And indeed, Junior's presence changed the temperature of the air, and I could still smell the guns, but I did not worry about the shooters or the triggers or the idea of dying in Magnolia Park. We left, and I drove under the crab apple trees, and I could hear the fruits smash and pop beneath the tires of the car. We were headed for the long bridge which connected downtown to the more residential and coastal area where Junior and I both lived. I drove a 1994 BMW 318i, which I had purchased for $600, and it had 140,000 miles on it, and the ain't shit on you, they'd have raided you by now, Junior said. Yeah, it's just everything with Harris. Probably someone snitched on his ass. You know, he was selling water in there. And college kids started on that shit now. Ain't that some shit? Junior said, but his words were slow and conversation was made difficult as he continued to sip from his stacked styrofoam cups. Kinda wish I had gone to college, I said. You ain't gotta go to college to do PCP. Junior laughed. I laughed too. No, not for that, I said. For, you know, life and shit. I explained vaguely. Yeah, well, you ain't, Junior informed me with a chuckle. I ain't. Shit, I ain't either. All right then, I said. I looked out of the window into the very black night with its dots of city lights like frozen, sad fireflies, and I searched for the horizon, where the sea met the sky, but it was gone, and instead there was only blackness. It could have been peaceful, but the engine of the 1994 BMW whined and complained loudly as it tried its damnedest to keep up with the pressure I put upon it. The noise of the engine was pierced first by a loud, single blare from outside of the car. Then the black night became a strobe of red and blue, screaming sharply off my rear-view mirror. My mind began performing a series of clumsy, useless calculations. I felt myself to be in a different sort of danger than I was at Magnolia Park. Junior quickly began to drink from his styrofoam cups, and to stall for time, I kept driving to the end of the bridge and pulled over onto a grassy patch next to the road. Junior crammed the empty cups into the space between the seat and the door. The cop appeared outside of my window, and he leaned down. The policeman asked, I got you at 112 and a 75. Why the hell are you going so fast? I don't know. No one on the road, I told the cop. He asked me if I had been drinking. He asked if I was on drugs. He asked many things, and I lied very well, and I answered his questions. I didn't know that Junior had a warrant out for his arrest, but after a long visit back to his car, the cop sure did. He asked Junior to step out of the car, and Junior did just that. I looked in the rearview mirror, and the two had a long and silent conversation which was illuminated by only the dance of the red and blue lights against the darkness. Could not hear or really see very much, but the conversation went on, and what I did see next was a great thing that I will remember for a long time. I do not know why he did it, and I suspect Junior himself couldn't have said either. But when I looked into the rearview mirror, I saw Junior rush at the cop, and he slammed his elbow into the cop's jaw. But the codeine had made his usual effective physical capabilities slow and weak. The cop recovered quickly with his telescoping billy club and struck Junior in the ribs, sending him crumpling down onto the ground. The officer yanked Junior to his feet, shoved him chest first onto the back of my car, and fixed handcuffs around his wrists. It was then through some vague, ill-explained notion that the police officer arrested me as well, and by that time, there were 3 of those black and white police SUVs in total behind my car. I was corralled in handcuffs into a different car than Junior. I was shuffled into the police station later that night. The officers took a photo of me, and then they made me drop my pants and underwear as they shined a flashlight into my anus, presumably looking for drugs or weapons. They found none. The police officers took me to the drunk tank, that extra-large jail cell where vagrants of the night slept away their woes. It had 4 benches along the perimeter, on which sat various men in various states of inebriation, sorrow, patheticness, or some combination of them all. I took my seat on the bench next to a man who seemed even, whose head was slumped forward in the wind of an opiate high. The hours ticked forward, and I had nothing to do but wait and think and worry. I wondered if I would ever see Junior again. I thought about my opium, and Harris, and my mother, and the summer sun, and so many things. I did not think about my future because there was nothing to think of. It is a treacherous thing to not see a future for oneself, but this is surmountable. A person may have no prospects, yet still feel the hope that prospects can develop, that something can emerge from where there was once none. Less surmountable is when a man cannot see a future in which a future can even develop. This unique feeling is how I imagine it must be to drown. The drowning man with no imagination for how he could possibly float will reach for any object or detritus which floats by, no matter whether it will help him or only pull him down into the water. Each effort of this man will go unrewarded, no matter how strong those efforts may be. As they emerge as futile and actions become disconnected from their results, and as the man slowly sinks and water floods into his lungs, the idea of survival has long since become a stranger. Midnight became 3, and then 4, and I slowly fell into a sleep as I sat upright. I do not know for how long I slept, but I awoke with a dreary feeling, temporarily having forgotten my place. I stretched my arms wide over my head, and as my right hand came down, I felt it make contact with the head of the man next to me. By the man's estimation, this was plenty enough to be a fight. His opiate high had simmered away, or he was an entirely different man now, I could not say. He stood up quickly and he punched me in the lip. Blood came into my mouth, and this whole incident was so regular and uninteresting that it pulled no reaction from the other people in the cell. I punched the man back, but I was skinny and not strong, and my fist hit somewhere around his jaw with very little consequence. A police officer outside of the cell barked at us to calm down, unless we wanted to stay an extra day. Later that morning, I was released with a reckless driving ticket. So I took a bus back home, across the long bridge, and back to my apartment. When I arrived home, the sun was high and bright,
Some
still
interesting
without retreat.
decisions.
I saw an interesting thing in front of
We'll
my
see if
house.
he's been able to take all of the data and turn it into something
That
magical.
same police car was there, but it was now in the
For now,
process
though,
of being
a
loaded
4v4
onto
and
the bed of
definitely
a
a
tow
chance
truck.
for KC to bounce
A
straight back. I'm
stocky,
looking at
short
that
tow
showstopper
man smoked a cigarette as he watched the car be pulled onto his truck. I tried to piece together what I was seeing before deciding the tow man could provide a better explanation. Well, don't see that every day, I said to the tow man. Yeah, you know, this thing's